Today, I'm going to talk about the Sopranos and the HUD scam.
Or cement. Or everything.
Location's the key, right? I mean, otherwise you get stuck with shit.
We're just talking here. Come on.
In Season 4, Episode 7, Watching Too Much Television, after a wild night at the Bing celebrating Polly Walnut's homecoming, Tony, Ralph, and Carmela's cousin Brian go out for breakfast.
Any investment advice for ambitious young men such as myself?
Buy land, I guess. God ain't making any more of it. That's what Will Rogers said. Sometimes there's money and shit.
How do you mean?
Insert foot and mouth, Jason.
Worked one summer for this not-for-profit housing group. Told me about some scam his minister was involved with up in Harlem. You ever hear of HUD?
Housing development, yeah.
The thing is, though...
But since we didn't get to hear that part, I'll give you a little rundown of HUD. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD for short, was established in 1937, and in 1965, the Department of Housing and Urban Development Act created HUD as a cabinet-level agency.
HUD was set up in part to help minorities and low-income families become homeowners.
HUD also has various programs helping individuals and families make rent payments, along with help for people experiencing homelessness and in other vulnerable housing situations. And who's the boss at HUD? Well, he or she is actually called the secretary, and there have been 18 secretaries since HUD was established as a cabinet-level agency in 1965. As briefly mentioned before, HUD has several initiatives and programs that help specific populations, such as seniors, veterans, young children and families, people who have been displaced from their homes due to a natural disaster like a hurricane or a tornado, and other populations that are particularly vulnerable. HUD's current priority goals include reducing homelessness, improving rental assistance, advancing sustainable homeownership, and strengthening environmental justice. Let's talk about FHA, the Federal Housing Administration. The Federal Housing Administration, which is part of HUD, provides mortgage insurance on loans made by FHA-approved lenders.
As the feds are guaranteeing the home mortgage, the banks figure what the hell. They'll loan the money.
FHA mortgage insurance protects lenders against losses, so if a property owner defaults on their mortgage and fails to make payments, FHA will pay the lender for the unpaid principal balance. FHA's 203K loan program was designed to promote homeownership for low-income and working-class individuals and families. So 203K is set up to help individuals and nonprofits afford the often very risky and often very expensive process of rehabbing old housing to make it fit for people to live in. So with HUD insuring the loans, the program makes mortgages easier to get in neighborhoods where that's not always the case. In other words, what this means for Tony is So now, I'm going to go through the HUD scam and walk through the steps taken by each relevant party throughout the episode, which again is Season 4, Episode 7, Watching Too Much Television. And in case it doesn't go without saying, you shouldn't try to do this scam or any scam like this. This is for educational and informational purposes and not as recommended strategy to do one of these yourself. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's get to the steps.
You get a front man to buy houses in some crummy neighborhood. Talking about some real shit boxes. Maybe they're worth like $100,000 a piece.
This neighborhood used to be beautiful.
And we got a guy, Dr. Fried, is a urologist. We're gonna give him $500,000 of our money, have him grab up these 4 houses on Garside Street for $125,000 a piece.
Dr. Fried, you are now the legal owner.
Next, you tie up with some non-profit organization who goes to HUD, says they intend to buy these houses from your stooge. They're gonna convert them to homes for working-class blacks, blah, blah, blah.
Once we own the houses, we got an appraiser who play ball. He's gonna reappraise them in the $300,000 range.
This guy who does the housing appraisals for Tony.
Vic the appraiser, they call him.
I'm only the appraiser!
What you do, Maurice, is you take the phony appraisals to HUD. Tell them your urban housing league wants to buy up these shitholes, convert them into low-cost housing for working families.
You're going to buy 4 houses on Garside Street? certainly got your work cut out for you.
One day at a time.
Keep on keeping on.
Once HUD guarantees the mortgage app, you take it to the bank. They cut a check, and we work it up nice.
Dr. Freed, 1,300,000. Mr. Tiffen, you take possession as of today.
At which point I assume my organization fails to make the mortgage payment.
Unforeseen construction delays and repeated vandalism forced the project into dissolution. We all walk away from the houses.
Your cut will be in the 10% of the profit range.
Tell you, Tony, I'm borrowing money myself to grab up parcels along Frelinghuysen Ave through a shell company. And a private citizen like you, who's going to quibble with patriotic entrepreneurism?
Sounds about right.
This scam goes pretty smoothly because it's not just the mafia that likes to make a quick buck from flipping properties.
And now it's Tribeca.
But as we know, things can get complicated in life. Especially when you're making a deal with the devil, shall we say? When Assemblyman Zellman tells Tony that he's not going to be able to do anything about the people that are squatting at the house that they just bought, Tony takes matters into his own hands.
Maximum value is the big picture. There must be $7,000 of copper pipe in there. They haven't taken it out already.
But of course, Tony doesn't have his own guys mess with the squatters. Instead, he gets Maurice, the head of the nonprofit, to recruit some of his own boys.
Don't come around here no more.
And this is just one example of the various issues and problems affecting people living in these communities. So it's not just about HUD or about one house or 4 houses on Garside Street.
I told you young people that crack is some bad shit.
Oh yeah, and you know how I said that thing about making a deal with the devil? Not just one devil. All the devils want to come out to play when they see that something's going on.
It's a real estate business.
Excuse me?
You know, HUD, Garside Street, you, Ralph, Zellman.
Is it gonna be a nice house here now?
When the young boy asks Assemblyman Zellman if they're gonna have a nice house here now, and Zellman just has that blank look on his face, you can see in the young boy's face this look of disappointment but not shock at what's happening. And the fact that he's so disillusioned at this young age really speaks volumes.
Here you go. 10% apiece.
Sometimes I feel like I should be punished.
But what about fraud? Who investigates claims of waste, fraud, and abuse? Well, that would be the Office of the Inspector General for HUD.
The revolution got sold, Ronnie.
Well, here's something I never thought I'd say. To the federal government.
Depends on which department.
A lot of poor families need affordable housing in Newark.
And given the massive deficit of affordable housing units throughout our country, it's no surprise that we see scams like this popping up in other places throughout the years. And there you have it, folks. The anatomy of the HUD scam. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little something. If you did, give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Sopranos Blueprint on YouTube.